Good evening and welcome to Free. I'm Noelle. I'm the community director here, and this is Jerome. He is our community ambassador here at Free. And what we do here at Free is we break the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. But there is one thing we don't do here, Jerome.
That's right. You guys want to say it with me?
We'll count it on three.
One, two, three.
We don't. That's right.
You got it.
We don't do shame, but there are some other things we do here.
I have a few announcements for you. First, if this is your first time here at Free, welcome. We'd love to gift you a welcome bag. In that welcome bag is some fresh roasted coffee from yours truly, Mrs. Tammy Candidate, who's on the beach living her best life. There's a little bit of swag and some flyers about what we do here. We are hosting close to 40 groups a week now, so we'd love to just share a little bit more about what we do. You can see myself or another staff member after the service if you haven't received one yet. The next one is the Sober Open Mic Night is happening this Thursday. There are some technical issues with registering, so please, if you can't register, still show up. We'll get you registered the night of, but it does create kind of a bottleneck coming in, so please arrive early. Doors open at 6. It will kick off promptly at 7 and 2 hours of fun. And if you haven't been, I encourage you. It is some people, it's going to be their first time performing in recovery. Yeah. So maybe it's their first time ever, but more importantly, it may be in recovery. And we hold a space for them and we cheer for them and wrap them up and encourage them to keep going. The next announcement is the golf tournament on June 16th. This is one of my favorite times of year for the community. We'll be at Arrowhead Golf Club in Littleton, Colorado once again. It's going to be a really fun time, and we do have some unique sponsorship opportunities. So if you check out the link on the flyer, for those of you online, it's $250 a person or $1,000 for a team. Most of that is the cost of playing at that course, by the way. We understand, but there are other ways to give. Just check it out on the website. We'd love to see it. Did I miss anything on that?
No, you did great. Thanks, Jerome. We do have one other announcement. Today was a big day for Jerome, and he actually graduated college with his master's degree today. Yeah. So that's what Jerome was doing this morning.
That is, and I chose to come share this today to cover down, as you know, Tammy and Ryan are out, Carrie's out. It was really important to me to let people know that this achievement is directly correlated to my sobriety. Yeah. I got sober and I got back on the horse, and I was close to failing out of school before. I unlocked my potential by removing the alcohol and drugs and said yes to a lot of things, but I didn't realize this was one of them. So this accomplishment, I'm only the second person in my family to get a graduate degree or beyond, and I'm just really grateful that I get to share that with you guys. So thanks again.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jerome. Congratulations. So Jerome's role here as a community ambassador, he is an invaluable resource when it comes to if you have someone who's struggling, or if you yourself is struggling and maybe you don't have insurance and you're looking to get into a rehab, or you're just needing resources. He's your guy. I have had, just in the last month, so many people come up to me and be like, thank you for connecting me with Jerome. He got me to the right people, and I'm now plugged in the ways that I need to be. So Jerome's a huge asset here. So congratulations, Jerome, and we're lucky to have you. Well, every week we start out service with celebration, so we want to lift up the good and celebrate with you. So whether it's graduating from college with your master's degree, or a sobriety birthday, or just a belly button birthday, go ahead and raise your hand. Jerome has a microphone on this side, and then we've got Scott Mounts over here on our right side. So raise your hand. Let's take 3 minutes and celebrate. Mickey. Colin, do you want to do celebrations? Great.
All right, my name is Rocky. I got 6 months of sobriety, 204 days today. Woo! I got my car fixed and I went to my higher power instead of going to the liquor store, and that was a miracle. And I have reconnected with my son, and we're starting a business together.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations, Rocky. That's great. We'll lift that up for sure. We got another celebration over here, Colin.
Hi, I'm Vaughn, and I am 55 days sober today.
Oh, congratulations, Vaughn. That's awesome.
I'm Alejandro, and today I have 160 days sober.
That's awesome.
I'm Elijah, and I am over 60 days sober.
Congratulations, Elijah. Man, that rose just killing it this one.
All right, I'm Colin, 32 days sober.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Colin. Any other celebrations? All right, well, we don't need to make it awkward. Tech team, do we have any celebrations online? We do? Scott, would you mind joining me up here for some celebrations?
I'll just stand there.
You don't know if you can read? Is that what you said?
Well, I can read.
Oh.
Just don't have it has to be big words.
Okay, well, here's Tammy. Oh, God.
Tammy, I don't have my glasses.
Oh, okay, I'll help you.
Okay.
Tammy Canada celebrated our 20-year anniversary this week with some amazing, yes, view and many coffee cheers. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll celebrate.
That was a big word. Is that big word?
Panamanian. Ryan Canada, thank you, free leaders, for allowing us time away. So grateful for you all. And to the rest of you free fam. Can't wait to be back next week. So you did great. That was really good. We just brought Scott up for the looks tonight,
right.
so that's great. Thank you so much. I didn't realize you didn't have your glasses. I'm sorry, that wasn't fair of me. Well, hey, we are in our 4th week of a 6-week series that we're in on faith and recovery. And tonight I want to talk about distraction and what it means to live in a world of distractions and what it means to destroy distractions. So here's a video for y'all to check out. So in the spirit of the NBA playoffs, I'm going to show you this photo of LeBron James that was taken on February 7th in 2023 at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California. So there's 10 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, and they were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. And during this was he was breaking an all-time NBA record, 38,388 points. It was previously held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And 40 years, he held this record for 40 years. And it was just one of those records that they thought was never going to be able to be broken. Like, it was just not going to be breakable. And then LeBron, in this moment, he breaks this record, 38,000 points. My freshman year in high school, I made the JV basketball team at Columbine High School. And man, we went 8-4 that season. And I probably scored 80 to 100 points. So we're talking 38,000 points here. And man, when he made that shot, it was like the entire arena erupted. And everyone had their phone out, and they were taking videos of this moment that was going to go down in history. But there was one person who was truly there. His phone wasn't there. It was Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. And this photo, it went viral, with comments like, man, Phil's going to be a legend for that one. And he's the only person truly living in the moment. And I think people are so drawn to this because deep down we have this seeking suspicion that to some degree life is happening and we're just missing it. It was about a decade ago that I was watching Steve Furtick preach a message about an ancient torture method. And this torture method involved 4 horses, and they would tie a rope to each horse. And then they would take the ends of that rope and tie it to a person's limb, so one of their 4 limbs. And they would have the horses go in 4 different directions. And as uncomfortable as that is to think about, I don't bring it up without a point. Because as barbaric and brutal as that is, as tortured methods go, there was a brilliance behind it. The French called it distraction, getting destroyed by distraction, being pulled in 4 different ways. And I can't help but wonder if that's how our soul feels sometimes, that we're just trying to live in a world of distraction. Parent in a world of distractions, hear the voice of God in a world of distractions. So your attention is the single most valuable asset that you have. John Mark Comer says that in the end, your life is no more than the sum of what you give your attention to. And I wonder how many moments, just in the past week, that you've been distracted from being present. So the question that I want to ask tonight is, how do we destroy distraction? 2,000 years ago, Jesus, he told an interesting parable about a seed and some soil. And when Jesus, he talks in parables, he'll tell a story, but the story isn't actually about the story. It's about a deeper spiritual meaning behind the story. And so Jesus in this parable says, whoever has ears, in other words, whoever is focused, let them hear this life-changing truth. And he's about to tell this parable, and I really believe it's gonna be helpful for us in this cultural moment of distraction. So Matthew chapter 13, verse 1 through 9. That same day, Jesus went out to the house and sat by the lake. And I don't know why, but I just picture Chatfield Reservoir, like Jesus just at Chatfield out there. Such large crowds gather around him, and he got into the boat, or his paddleboard, and he sat on it. All the other people stood on the shore. And then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. And as he scattered the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came up and ate it. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seeds fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still, other seeds fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. Whoever has ears, whoever was focused, let them hear. And so now Jesus, he's preaching this parable to this really large crowd, and it's now evening, and it's after this long day of ministry. So he goes off with his disciples, and one of his disciples comes up to him, and he's like, hey, Jesus, that seed and that soil stuff, it was really good. Like, I'm with you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But man, the other disciples, they didn't get it. And they asked if you would come and explain it to them, like they're 5. And I'm grateful for that, because sometimes I need God to explain to me things like I'm 5. And so that's what Jesus is going to do here in Matthew chapter 13, verse 18 through 23. Listen to the one parable of the sower, what the parable of the sower really means. When anybody hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The seed falling on rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. And when trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces the crop, yielding 160 or 30 what was sown. And I think we read that and we all secretly want to believe like we're the good soil kind of people. Like, God, I don't know about them, but I'm the 30, 60, 100 yield kind of person. But let me quote a question that I heard a pastor ask about this parable. Is this parable of the sower depicting 4 different categories of people, or is it depicting 4 different conditions of our heart at any given time? So in other words, is it possible in the first hour of the day that I wake up and I'm undistracted, like I'm really picking up what God's putting down and I feel like we're on the same frequency, but then as soon as my kids wake up, or as soon as I get that phone call or that text message, and then these moments are snatched away, and I'm suffocated by the worries of the world and my to-do list. What I want to show you today are 3 different ways I think this parable diagnoses distraction for us, in hopes that it increases our awareness of the fact that all the life that we're looking for and the relationships that we need are right here in the presence of God. I hope you walk out of here a little bit less distracted, maybe a little bit less pulled in every different direction, and a little bit more vested in your faith and your recovery. So for the first kind of distraction, we'll call it distraction by delay. So Matthew chapter 13, verse 18 through 19 again, here we go. Listen then to what the parable of the sower really means. When anybody hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. And this is the seed sown along the path. So remember, Jesus said that the birds came in the air and they snatched away the seed. Have y'all ever been to the beach and left your snacks out for like 20 minutes? And then you came back from swimming in the ocean and there's like 50 seagulls around your Doritos. I mean, that's the depiction of delay. And delay snatching the seeds away from you while they're still seeds. Well, they haven't had a chance to become something more. So maybe you show up to a Saturday service and you happen to hear some life-changing truth. Then you get in your car and you go to dinner and you're about to talk to a friend about a message. But then you get that frustrating text message. Or maybe you get cut off in the parking lot. Or that unhealed memory, it just kind of comes up in you from 3 months ago. And before you get a chance to see the fruit of the seed that was planted inside of you, it gets snatched. The evil one in this parable is a lot less nefarious than it sounds. The evil one is binging Netflix instead of going to that meeting. It's purchasing that vacation instead of that trauma therapy that you know that you need. It's scrolling Instagram instead of calling your sponsor. My life has been changed by phrases that spiritual teachers have said out loud, or me talking to a closed-mouthed friend, and those seeds that were planted in me. But they needed my attention to take root inside me. Be mindful of the moments that cause delay. Matthew chapter 13, verse 20 through 21 again. The seed falling on rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. And when trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. So the second thing that distracts us is hurry. And I'll phrase it this way. Distracted by the doing. Because we're just too hurried to put roots down. Who has time for roots? Roots are painfully slow. Being hurried is an internal soul condition. So much so that psychologists today define it as hurry sickness. This isn't a joke. I'm going to tell you the definition and I'll let you diagnose yourselves. Hurry sickness is a behavior pattern in which a person feels chronically short on time and tends to perform every task faster and get flustered when encountering any kind of delay. So it's when you have that constant, continuous sense of rushing. When you're at the grocery store and you switch lines to go to that next line that'll get you out 2 minutes quicker, and you run through that yellow light thinking you'll get home just a little bit sooner so you can hurry up and start cooking dinner. And you're just skimming across the surface of life, And you find yourself just restless. Even when you're trying to take a break, you're just agitated. And when you're with your loved ones, they're not really present. And your basic spiritual needs like prayer, meditation, going to a meeting, man, those are the first to go. It's because you're not connected to your source. And therein lies the problem with hurry. It's not a lack of time issue. The problem is that we don't have enough of it. The problem is that it's a human heart condition. We're running from something. We can no longer be present with ourselves and present with God. And in recovery, man, you see this all the time. You see people get so excited about their recovery and their sobriety, and you can tell if it's only a motive or if it's something true, something lasting that's taking root. And as soon as the emotions wear off or the honeymoon phase is gone, what happens then? Was there something deeper that was happening underneath? Were roots being put down? See, a life thriving in deep faith and recovery, it's available to you. But it's not in the next city. It's not in the next relationship. It's not in the next job. It's in the ground beneath your feet. It's where you're putting roots down. Do you have the patience to put roots down and to tap in. Don't get distracted by the doing. And then distracted by deceit. So Matthew chapter 13, verse 22. The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. See, worries have a way of commandeering our mind. It's like a little boat that's out at sea and there's strong winds coming. Like the winds come and they just take us away. And that's how worries are. The worries come and we just go and we make way with them. And we have these voices inside of us that say, man, this world would be a better place if I wasn't here. Or nothing good happens to me anyway, so why would I try? Worries suffocate the beautiful seasons that God is writing in our lives. So here's something that may be helpful for you. God's voice will always direct and protect you. God will use conviction to move you forward and not condemnation to pull you backwards. God will speak warning to you, but he will never speak worry over you. God is scattering these seeds in your life. Don't be suffocated by worry. And I'm going to read the last verse, Matthew chapter 13 to 23. And this is the good one. This is the good soil. But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop yielding 160 or 30 times what was sown. Free, it started in 2017 in Ryan and Tammy's backyard in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. And at that time, Ryan was working 2 full-time jobs, and he didn't have a salary at Free. They had 4 kids that they were taking care of, and Tammy was helping out when she could. And finally, a year and a half or so later, finally scrounged enough money to get this little box of a space. It was 3,000 square feet off Arapahoe and I-25 in this little strip mall. And back when we were at that space, there was only the 7 p.m. service during that time. And so there'd be like 100 people that would kind of cram like sardines into this little space. And Ryan would preach his message, and then he would walk across this space and fill up his cup of coffee before the storyteller portion. And he would always put up a reflection question on the board. So 60 seconds that you had to reflect on this particular question. And so on this one Saturday night, he put up that question and he went to go refill his coffee cup. And there was a well-meaning community member who stopped him and on his walk handed him a large sum of cash. And then that same night, that well-meaning community member sent Ryan a message and said, let me know what Free needs to really take off. Whatever dollar amount you need. And this is money that would completely change Free in our budget. You just let me know what it is, and it's yours. But it had strings attached to it. And Ryan, this makes me so proud because, this is our DNA here at Free. This is our blood. And he said, thank you so much. But the vision and the mission of Free, they're not for sale. They're not for sale. So your mission here at Free is to break the silence of addiction. That's what we're here for. And I wonder this week if you can have the same spiritual swagger as Ryan in that moment. When those moments come, the birds come through the air, when the sun comes out and scorches you, when deceitfulness and worry come and suffocate your calling. I wonder if you can have that same spiritual swagger. Every time I'm prepping for a message, I tend to go through whatever the topic is that I'm prepping about. And I was talking to my mom about this last week, and I was like, man, I need to start preaching about joy and prosperity more because I have had the most distracted week of my entire life. It's almost been like a Will Ferrell movie where everything that could possibly distract him from doing what he actually needs to do has distracted him. And we've got our house on the market, so we're constantly doing showings and cleaning our house and getting all the kids out. And we have a 2-month-old, so we're not getting a lot of sleep. And just juggling 4 kids and where we need to be and who needs to be where at what time. And every time I sit down, I get that phone call or that text message with a fire to put out, and it's like, man, I can't get to this message. And a couple mornings ago, it was just me and the kids, and so I put a movie on for them, and I sat down because I knew Saturday night services, they were coming. And I finally put some pen to paper, and then all of a sudden, Crew, our 2-month-old, he starts crying. And Cora, our 2-year-old, she wants to put on her pink flower dress and spin around our couch and have me watch her. Braylee's asking questions about her cell phone, and James wants to go play basketball. And I'm like, holy cow, God, like all of the distractions. Like I'm not trying to plan a bank heist right now. Like I'm trying to preach a message for you and write this message. And in that moment, I very clearly heard God press upon my heart, hey, pal, the message prep is the distraction. How many messages have you preached? How many times have I come through for you? I know you like to work hard. I know you like to prep. But the message prep is the distraction. And if you didn't preach this week, someone else would preach this week, but no other mom can watch that little girl twirl on the couch in her pink flower dress. So go help Braylee with her phone. Go play basketball. Braylee's only going to be 11 once. James is only going to be 8 once. Cora is only going to be 2 once. Please, God, only let Cora be 2 once. She is wild. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. You've got like 5 to 10 it's this week. Don't miss it. See, life is happening, and distraction, it wants to snatch these moments from you. It's like the seagulls with your Cool Ranch Doritos. And if you're not careful, a flock of everything urgent is going to come in and snatch the few important things from you. Hope you walk out of here a little bit less distracted and a little bit less pulled in every direction, a little bit more vested in your faith and your recovery. And so I've got Mickey and my dad up here. This is Grand Bob. That's what the kids call him. He said you guys can call him Grand Bob too. I don't know if you guys remember an old Switchfoot song called Dare You to Move. It's a good one. And there's an acoustic version of this song that they're going to sing for you. And while this song is being played, I encourage you to think about your next week, your next 2 weeks, your next month. And man, what does that look like for you? What does that look like to not live in so much distraction? And what really matters? Like, how are you moving in this world and focusing on the things that are really important and not the urgent? So here's Dare You to Move.
Welcome to the planet. Welcome to existence. Everyone's here. Everyone's here. Everybody's watching you now. Everybody waits for you now. What happens next? What happens next? I dare you to move. I dare you to lift yourself up off the floor. I dare you to move. I dare you to move like today never happened, like today never happened before. Welcome to the fallout. Welcome to resistance. The tension is here. The tension is here. Between who you are and who you should be. Between how it is and how it should be. Yeah. I dare you to move. I dare you to lift yourself up off the floor. I dare you to move. I dare you to move like today never happened. Like today never happened. Maybe redemption is stories to tell. Maybe forgiveness is right where you fell. And where can you run to escape from yourself? And where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? Salvation is here. I dare you to move. I dare you to move. I dare you to lift yourself up off the floor. I dare you to move, dare you to move like today never happened, like today never happened, like today never happened, like today never happened before.
A 2-year-old groupie up here. Did y'all see her? She was dancing. That was great. Thank you, Mickey and Grandpa. So if tonight's your first night here with us, after the message, we always have a storyteller, and some come up. It was about 2 years ago now that my sponsor, who I'd worked with for many years, he passed away. And I was in this lost space for like 6 to 9 months. I was a new mom and just kind of in the throes of life. And man, I was really seeking. I was really in a hard spot. And so during this time, I knew I needed to get a new sponsor. And my best friend would always encourage me, like, man, how's that going? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm on it. And I was not on it. And I remember going to this emotional sobriety meeting in like my first 30, 60, and 90 days. And this woman would just talk. And I was just floored by like her wisdom and her recovery, like just so taken back by it. And I ended up reaching out to her, and we started working together. And it's just been one of the most transformative experiences in my recovery. And so she's here tonight. If you guys wouldn't help me welcome up Paula Robbins to this stage.
Thank you, sweetheart.
So welcome. So Paula, you've been sober 37 years.
Yes.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
So how did you find the rooms of recovery?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. I moved to Sacramento. I moved from Denver to California to try to get away from all of the trouble I was in. And when I was there, I needed a car. So I went to a dealership and I bought this old 1978 Chevette. And this was in 1987, late 87. And the Chevette had a cracked windshield, a broken radiator. Radio didn't work, and I was 20, so I needed a radio. And it was a stick shift that I didn't know how to drive. So lucky for me, at the time in California, they had what they call the lemon law. And I was able to return the car in 72 hours and get my money back, my deposit. Now, between 14 and 20, I hitchhiked everywhere I went. So the car was a great idea, but it wasn't working out. So I returned it, and I went to hitchhiking to get myself back to where I was living. Now, at the time, I was new to Sacramento, so I did not know that where I was hitchhiking was the Strip. So I'm hitchhiking, and this old beater car pulls up, and this guy with long hair and a leather vest and tattoos rolls down the window, and he's like, so are you working, or do you just need a ride? Well, I didn't know what he meant, so I thought I was witty, and I was like, well, how about a ride to work? And I got in the car, and we went driving, and I had money in my pocket. I had this $200 back. And what does an alcoholic or an addict do when they've got a little spare change?
We go party. Yeah, that's right.
Right. So I'm like, hey, I got some money, you want to party? And he looked at me and he said, oh no, I don't drink, I don't use drugs. And I was like, uh-oh, first time, wrong car. I was scared. And he could tell that I got nervous, so he's like, oh, no, I'm in Narcotics Anonymous. I've been clean and sober for about 2.5 years. I was like, oh. And I'd heard about Narcotics Anonymous a few years earlier because one of my friends in high school got put into a rehab and was attending NA meetings. So I'd heard of it. I knew that it was okay for her. So we got to be friends. We exchanged phone numbers. And the hazy part is I don't know how long it was. He told me about all these things they did clean and sober. They had raft trips, and they had campouts, and they rode motorcycles, and he made it sound so cool. And he didn't talk about meetings or steps or any of that. So he called me numerous times, hey, do you want to go check out an NA meeting? No. Are they going camping? Are we going raft tripping? Is anybody riding on this weekend? He wants to go on a motorcycle ride. And over those few weeks, I don't know how long, we didn't really connect until we did. And we did because one of those next mornings, February 1988, a few weeks later, I woke up super hungover, super ashamed, absolutely humiliated at whatever happened the night before that I couldn't really remember, but there was those little glimpses of yelling, screaming, throwing things, cussing, but I don't know what I was so mad about. And I was done. So I called him and I asked him to take me to a meeting, and that was February 1st, 1988. So I went to that first meeting, and on the way home, I was asked what my drug of choice was. And I said, well, if we're talking drugs, I smoke a lot of weed, but if we're talking choice, I drink a lot. So he's like, okay, so alcohol's a drug. So drug of choice would be alcohol. And I'm like, okay. Now I got invited that Monday to go riding on motorcycles on Saturday. Big ride, 10 bikes, all around Northern California. So I decided not to use my drug of choice that week. Now I didn't know clean and sober meant clean and sober. I just thought drug of choice. So I quit drinking. But I smoked as much pot as I could that week because I was, coming up on this big ride. And he called me the day before, and he said, hey, we're going to pick you up tomorrow at 10. Be really great if you didn't get loaded before we got there.
To a sober event. Yep.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, my first thought was, I was kind of offended, like, who gets loaded by 10 a.m., right? And I did all the time, but for whatever reason, that particular morning, it struck me different, and I didn't get loaded that morning. They picked me up at 10, and we went riding all over Northern California, went through Lake Tahoe into the ghost towns, and I watched this camaraderie amongst people that was real. They were vulnerable, and they were raw, and they had these inside jokes and this light in their eyes, and I fell in love.
Yeah, I remember the first meeting I ever went to and just walking away from it and being like, this is where the honest people are. This is where they are. What was that guy on the what was his name? That guy on the motorcycle?
He was in a car. His name was JC.
Oh, yep.
The one who picked me up hitchhiking was JC, who I didn't correlate to anything spiritual for 11 years.
Yeah.
As to what that might mean.
Yeah. What was the biggest mistake you would say you made in early recovery?
Being too excited about recovery with my very alcoholic family. I came home to visit, and my family are all bar and restaurant people in Colorado, and I went to go see them at the bar. I was home for Christmas. That's where they usually were. And I was all proud of my like clean and sober life, right? I was so excited to feel free, to have a clean conscience, to just try to be living right. And of course, I loved these people. I wanted to share it. And they were not all about it.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of grief and knocked around a lot for being so grateful. From, these were the generation ahead of me. They were 40s and 50s. So if the little granddaughter, the little niece, who's 20, is sober and saying she's alcoholic, what does that make us? So yeah, they didn't receive that too well. So I learned to just own my recovery in my own heart.
And more attraction rather than promotion with your family.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What is the most powerful story that you have in recovery of God working in your life?
There's so many. The most powerful story was probably making it through my second pregnancy. I can't tell this story without getting a little choked up, but I was 6 months pregnant when my husband went back to meth. And for those of you who know meth addiction, it's pretty brutal and it's pretty ugly. And, I thought we had the fairy tale. We loved each other a lot. There was no question about that. But he went back. And I made it through that. So, frankly, when I reflect on that particular moment and that time when it was so dark and so heavy, I remember knowing without any question that this little baby I was carrying was solid gold and pure light. And that was my gift. I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to stay strong. I'm going to birth this beautiful little girl, and I'm going to be okay. Yeah. And here I am. Okay.
In 37 years, have you ever come close to relapsing? And if you have, how did you get through that moment?
So it goes back to that same period of time. After my younger daughter was born, I have two daughters. They're beautiful. They're 35 and they're 30 now. And we moved back to Colorado during that time. I came back home to be with my family. And I just needed help here. And when we got here, I tried to reconnect with recovery in Colorado, but you guys didn't do it right. California recovery meetings were very different than Colorado. And so I quit going to meetings. I kind of just, I tried to take care of my babies. I was working a couple of jobs. I was heartbroken. I was trying to navigate returning to Colorado and being around my family and the dysfunction. It was hard. So I came back right before 8 years clean and sober, and then right before 9 years clean and sober. On a Sunday morning, my kids were with my sister, and they'd spent the night there the night before, and I woke up lonely, angry, heartbroken, disconnected. And I was like, this is it, I'm done, I'm gonna drink. So I drove to a liquor store. And as I sat in front of that liquor store, I kept staring at the door, debating, am I gonna go in? And somewhere in that staring, I saw the word closed. Now, I didn't drink a lot legal, so I didn't know liquor stores were closed on Sunday mornings. And when it hit me hard, and I broke down and I started to cry, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm almost 9 years sober, this is a good deal. And so I'm in the front of this liquor store parking lot crying in the car, and I open the glove box because moms keep a stash of napkins.
Always in the glove box, that's right.
And as I pulled out a napkin, the AA schedule fell out. Back then, it was a big yellow neon little booklet, and it fell out. And it was like, I was sitting there crying, I was yelling at God, what the F? Help me. And I heard the words like, clear as day. Here you go, honey.
Right out of the glove box.
Right.
what would you tell someone who is struggling in their sobriety, in their recovery right now? Not someone who's out in active addiction, but someone who's trying to get this thing, who's off the drinking and the drugs, and man, it's just not making sense to them, this whole sobriety thing, this whole recovery thing. What would you tell them?
Speak up. Tell somebody. Be real, be honest. Open your heart and trust that they care too. They've been there. There's not one person in recovery, not one, who has made it through this thing scot-free. All of us have had hard times. This is life. We don't just get sober and life's perfect. Life hurts. Shit happens, right? So speak up. Tell somebody. Be real. Be vulnerable. And let us love you.
Isn't that the most powerful thing, I think, in the rooms of recovery or in like-minded communities, that you share like the deepest, darkest parts of you, and then the person across from you is like, yeah, me too. Like, I've been there too. And there's this power in that where you're like, holy shit, I'm not alone. And it just clicks with you that, hey, yeah, me too. So 37 years sober, Paula, what is your biggest message in recovery at 37 years sober?
You know, there's a few, but I'll start with the root of the 4 pillars. So the 4 pillars of recovery is my biggest message, but the root of that is daily quiet time. So I have this beautiful sponsor. Her name is Dorothy. And when I asked her to be my sponsor 24 years ago, we agreed to meet every week for 6 weeks to get to know each other, to start the steps, to build a relationship. And what she told me in meeting 1 is I require the women I sponsor to work at daily step 11. That means daily prayer and meditation. And I was like, okay. So we make the second week, and how's step 11? How's it going? And I'm like, well, you know, I prayed with my kids, and I prayed in the car, and I prayed in the shower. And she goes, no, daily committed quiet time, just you and God. And so I'm like, okay, what does that mean? So we meet again, week 3, and how's that daily quiet time? And I said, well, you know, I did it like 3 days. I did get quiet, and she got this stern look on her face like, this is a requirement every day. This is a commitment. And the way she said it kind of scared me, like, if I don't get to this, I'm going to lose Dorothy. And I wanted what she had. She had this beautiful life, this beautiful home. She carried herself like a dignified woman who was so intelligent. And I'm like, I don't want to lose this, so I got on it. So every day, that entire 4th week, I did this daily quiet time, and I had this like really internal shift of stability in my soul. So I knew right there that I'm going to get quiet every day, and I'm going to connect, and I'm going to surrender, and I'm going to align with the divine in my will and thy will as one every day.
Can I ask you a question before we get into the 4 pillars? What does your practice look like every day?
Ugh. So when I was struggling to build this, I went to a barbecue one weekend. I was sitting there, and I'm like, okay, so how do I do this like quiet time thing? I kind of struggle with what does it mean to pray? And I saw this little book on this coffee table called P-R-A-Y. And so I open it, and it says, P is for praise, thank yous. I do my gratitude list. R is resentment. Where I struggle with resentment, I'm going to bring it to God. And this is, God, help me forgive myself. God, help me to forgive the others. A is ask. This is, God, please guide my day, guide my thoughts. Show me how to be of service. Help my kids. Help me, you know, help the guy who's going to have the ankle surgery next door, you know. And then Y is the most important. Y is yield. I have my will. There is thy will. I want them to come together as one. I want divine will to flow with my will and guide my day. And every time I do that, every single day, and it's been this way for 24 years, when I go, I use the third step prayer, but when I align, I like have this huge deep breath, like, there you are. And I know that Spirit entered and I'm not alone every day.
So I want you to go into the 4 pillars, and I think the 4 pillars are so important because that's what the 12 steps are based off of. But if you're also someone who's like, man, 12-step recovery, that doesn't really speak to me. I believe, and many others believe, that if you have these 4 things, like, you can have an incredibly fruitful life in recovery. And so what are those 4 pillars?
So first of all, I just want to reiterate what you just said. It doesn't matter if it's 12 steps. It doesn't matter if it's church, a yoga community, a Buddhist community, free. It doesn't matter where you find your recovery. But if you have spiritual community, a spiritual mentor, spiritual service, and a daily quiet time that you are committed to, your recovery, your life will be magic. It'll be magic.
So tell me about the magic that you're doing in the world right now. Like, what do you do for a living, and what have you been working on, and what does your day-to-day look like?
So I was in the corporate world for quite some time, and in 2007 I had a deeper calling to do more personal service. So I became a therapist. I am a trauma specialist. I do a really deep body of hypnotherapy work called cellular release therapy. So I do metaphysical hypnotherapy as a profession. I have a membership which is called the Lighthouse, and we do group hypnotherapy sessions, we have live connection gatherings, and there's just a ton of digital stuff online. And just today, I launched the pre-sale of my first book.
Oh, congratulations, Paula. I think we have there's Paula's book up there. I pre-ordered it on Amazon today, but man, that's such a big deal. It comes out this fall.
Yeah.
A labor of love, huh?
Yeah, I've been wanting to write this book for 20 years at least, and it's been an intense body of labor this last year and a half. I've learned so much doing it, and super reflective, but it's just so cool to see it coming to life. So it'll release sometime in the fall, but yeah, it's for sale today.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Paula. Now, we usually close at Free by asking the question, what would you tell to the person that is still struggling? But I want to rephrase it a bit. What would you tell to the loved one who has someone who's still struggling? The loved one who has a husband or a wife or a child or a best friend who's still out there in the throes of addiction, and maybe they're sober like you are, or what would you tell that person, the loved one?
You know, this is it's a beautiful question, but it's a hard one for those of us who have people that we love who've suffered. And I've had generations, my own mother, my husband, people that I love a lot who've struggled with this disease. And what I have learned in my own walk is 2 things. 1, pray real hard and pray that God's got them. That their path is going to get just as much magic as mine has. That there's going to be some angel on earth that's going to come and connect with them, and they're going to connect back. But more than that, honor thyself and take care of yourself. When you need to detach and you need to move into a place of, I personally go to God and get quiet and let him sit with me when I'm sad or I'm scared or I'm mad, or I take a bath or I take a walk or I call somebody and I tell them I'm hurting because I love these people. When we love somebody, what we want for them is to be happy. We want them to shine, right? We want them to live their best life. We want them to live their highest potential. We want to see them loving, laughing, succeeding. That's what love really is, right? But when we see them out there, they're hurting. So pray, because those challenges are valuable to them. They're going to wake up, they're going to overcome. 2, be grateful that you're sober, that you're okay, and let God love you, let your people love you.
That's good, Paula. We all give it up for Paula for being here with us tonight. Thank you so much. You can just set it down on the... Isn't she great? I know it. She's so good. Well, you guys should know that every week we close out with heartaches. So we want to walk with you during the hard. So whether you need a prayer or your loved one needs a prayer, we'll get a couple microphones. Got Jerome over here to my right, and I'll give Ron another microphone. And go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll take 3 minutes with some heartaches. No one needs prayer tonight, Jerome.
I'll start off.
Thanks, Ron.
My name is Ron, and I would like prayers for my daughter Layla, that she would continue to seek God's guidance and wisdom as she walks a different life away from her addiction now. And she's actually moving into a sober living house next Saturday. So I just want her to want it this time. So I appreciate that.
Prayers for Layla. She's a community member here at Free and Dearly Loved. So prayers for Layla. Wishing her the best.
Yeah, this is Sai. I'd just like to send some prayers out for my friend Rowan. She's been having a lot of struggles this month, and her car just broke down today, and so she's stuck, stranded, and trying to figure that one out. But just some prayers that her world turns around a little bit.
Yeah, prayers for Rowan.
Hi. I'd like to send a prayer out to my friend Ray, who was my second sponsor in Alaska. And he was down here skiing at Keystone the end of March 27th, and he fell and he broke his neck. And he's now paralyzed. He's in the hospital, VA hospital here in Denver. We're going to go see him tomorrow. We're going to do a Zoom meeting to a meeting in Alaska called the Black Sheep. And I'd ask that you please pray for him and hope that he gets better, because he is an incredible, incredible soul. Thank you.
Prayers for Ray.
Yes.
Oh, man, that's heartbreaking. Any other heartaches? All right, tech team, do we have any online? Jerome, do you want to just pop up here and help me out here?
Sure.
I really like the hat. You know, that looks
Thanks.
good
It's
on you.
special occasion hat.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
Kinda-
graduate with my master's degree hat.
Kind of a big day.
Oh, you know what? It looks like this screen's out. Let's see. Okay, let's
Oh,
go behind. Go ahead.
Thanks,
Jerome.
tech team. I'll look over here. Mike Anderson, need prayers for my wife. She fell and broke her femur and will spend the next several weeks in a nursing home / rehab facility. And I'm in the ER with some extreme calf pain. Wow, we're rooting for you, Mike. We're lifting you up.
Yeah. You and your wife, Mike, man, prayers for you guys. Well, thanks, Jerome. Thanks for joining me up here. It was short and sweet tonight. Well, it is because of your generous donations that we're able to do what we do here at Free and continue to break the silence of addiction. And there's a couple ways to help us further our mission here. The first would be on our free app. If you guys haven't downloaded this app, it's great. It's got all of our past messages on there. We've got 40 plus recovery meetings here a week. Those are on there. And then there's also a giving tab that you can donate on there. On our website at freerecoverycommunity.com, there's a drop-down page there as well. And then here at Free, we have a couple donation boxes around Free, and then we have a new dip jar, but it's not called a dip jar. You can just put in your credit card, and there's different variations to pay with. But it's truly because of your donations. People ask, how do you guys run Free? Well, it's donation-based, so thank you so much. Well, let's go out with the Serenity Prayer. If you guys aren't familiar with the Serenity Prayer, it'll be on your screen here. Take a deep breath. God, Grant us the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Go in peace this week. You guys have a great weekend. And Rev Ryan will be back next week. We'll see you next week.